Hugh Glass ain't dead yet.
I'm Kyle, and I play John Fitzgerald.
I'm Davis, and I play Major Henry.
I'm Cole, I play Trapper.
I'm Daniel, I play Hugh Glass.
I'm Mac, I play Jim Bridger.
I'm Connor, and I'm the narrator.
Mountain Men. A fashion fad among wealthy men in Europe and America in the early 1800s led to the origin of the mountain men. Hats made from the thick fur of the beavers became popular. Fur companies were organized to hunt for beaver. They hired adventurous, independent, and courageous men of many backgrounds to go for the far streams of the American West and into the heart of the Indian tribal lands to trap beavers. Some mountain men had been French fur trappers. Others were from various Native American tribes, such as Delaware and the Iroquois. Others were African Americans. Many mountain men were the restless sons of pioneers and immigrants. Mountain men paid for their own weapons and supplies that were expensive. They dressed in buckskin like many Native Americans. They usually lived on their own in the wild and met once a year at a rendezvous where they traded the furs for gold and supplies. Some fur trappers worked in a group like those in the script on the following pages. Beaver trapping began in the early 1800s and died out around 1840 as a major business. Hugh Glass. Hugh Glass may have been the toughest mountain man of all. He fought a grizzly bear with a bowie knife and was torn to pieces and knocked unconscious. Two trappers, Jim Bridger and John Fitzgerald, had agreed to stay with him until he died. They became frightened by the possibility of hostile Indians and took Hugh's belongings, leaving Hugh to die alone. Glass eventually woke up and crawled to a river for water, eating scraps from a buffalo killed by wolves, other dead animals, and roots. He began a 200-mile journey, walking and crawling across the plains to Fort Kiowa. Glass then hunted down the trappers who had abandoned him. He never found Fitzgerald, who simply vanished from the west. He found Jim Bridger, but did not harm him. Jim Bridger. Jim Bridger was a very young and experienced trapper when he left Hugh Glass to die. He went on to become the best known of the mountain men. He was respected by many people that he had guided through the West, including many army units and wagon trains. Bridger couldn't read, but he could draw a detailed map of every area he'd explored. He traveled wildly through the Rocky Mountains, and he was the first white trapper to discover the Great Salt Lake.
Mountain man Hugh Glass was hunting alone when he was cornered by a grizzly bear. He shot the bear with a single-shot rifle, but it just enraged the beast more. Hugh fought the grizzly with his knife, but he was no match for the large bear and the razor-sharp claws. Other trappers found the dead bear lying on top of Hugh, who was clawed to ribbons, drenched in blood, and barely alive. One of the trappers sewed up Hugh's wounds. Major Henry and the other trappers waited through the night, expecting Hugh to die, but he was still alive in the morning.
Men, the Indians are on the warpath. I can't risk everyone here just to bury old Hugh, good as man as he is. Hugh must be part wildcat himself to have killed that old grizzly bear. Still, it's clear to me he'll not last the day, and we've got to move on. I'd like a volunteer to stay with old Hugh, bury him proper, and then catch up with us.
I'll stay. I always liked Hugh. He's taught me a lot. I'll bury him deep and catch up with you.
Major, you can't leave that young'un alone here with you. Easter Green has no experience in these mountains. Those Injuns will kill him for sure here or follow him to us.
That's true enough. I need a volunteer to stay with Bridger and do right by Hugh.
The major's request for a volunteer was met with silence as they glanced first at each other and then at the ground. They knew the danger of being alone in a country with a tough tribe of Indians in the warpath. There were no takers.
Well, I understand the danger, but it's only fair to Hugh. I'll tell you what, I'll give you $40 to the man who stays with our young greenhorn here and helps him bury Hugh.
I guess I'll do it. That's a good piece of change. And from the look of that, old cuss, he ain't gonna last long anyhow.
Mount up, men. We'd best be moving out. You two take care and do right by old Hugh. Fitzgerald, you see that young Jim here? Keep his scalp.
Major Henry and the rest of the trappers left. Jim Bridger busied himself trying to make Hugh comfortable. Fitzgerald started pacing about the camp and checking the area for signs of Indians. The two were still there at nightfall. Hugh Glass was still alive, but each raspy breath he took seemed like it would be the last one he would ever draw.
What's the matter with the old man? He ought to be dead by now. It's nigh in the dark, and I can feel trouble. We should have been done and gone by now.
Hugh's still breathing. We said we'd stay till he passed on.
He's the same as dead. The old man's never going to move where he's lying. I tell you, we need to leave lest we can.
He'll be dead by morning. We can do our duty by him and then move on.
But Hugh wasn't dead by morning. He was still barely breathing, but Fitzgerald could not stand it anymore.
We need to go. We're fools just staying here. The man is dead as a corpse. He just doesn't know it yet.
I reckon you're right, but what will we do with little Hugh?
You take his rifle and skinning knife. I'll take his possibles bag. He's got some good traps and stuff. Make him comfortable, and let's go. Time's a-wasting. We'll tell the others Hugh died, and we buried him. No one will be the wiser.
They caught up with the others in a few days and reported he's dead, but Hugh Glass didn't die. He lay a few days in this half-conscious state, and then woke up one evening to find himself coated in blood, starving, and parched with thirst.
The major left young Bridger and Fitzgerald to bury me. I heard him. Where did those two rascals go? Where's my rifle? My knife's missing too. And my possibles bag is gone. They did took everything and skedaddled. Figured I was dead. They did, well, I shoved them. Old Hugh ain't dead.
Unable to walk or even stand up, Hugh crawled down to a stream, drank all he could, and started crawling southeast in the direction of Fort Kiowa. He found a dead bison that had been mostly eaten by wolves. He ate some of the rotten carcass, took some of the bones to gnaw out the marrow, and crawled on.
Be lucky to make a mile tonight. I'll chew out the bone tomorrow. I'll sleep during the day. It ain't but 200 miles to Fort Kawaya. I'll make it if the wolves or the buzzards don't get me. And those two buzzards that left me to die, you just wait till I'll catch you, hides.
Hugh Glass slept through the day and crawled at night. He ate anything dead he could find and licked water from the underside of leaves and small pools of water that he found along the way. Weeks later, he crawled into Fort Kiowa. Hugh spent months there recovering his strength and remembering his promise to himself about the men who left him. Hugh left Fort Kiowa with a borrowed rifle and supplies, following a rumor that Jim Bridger was trapping on his own in the northern plains. He sneaked up in Bridger's camp months later while Jim was cooking dinner.
Freeze, you yellow-bellied cowards. I got you now.
Who? What do you want? Who are you?
Scared you, didn't I? Don't you recognize old Hugh?
You can't be. Hugh Glass is dead. You must be a spirit.
I ain't dead yet. No thanks to you. You left me die, you yellow dog coward.
But you were near dead. That old grizzly bear had clawed you up something fierce. You was bleeding from a dozen cuts, but you just kept breathing. I'm sorry, Hugh. I deserve to die, I guess. Go ahead and get it done.
I ain't gonna kill you, much as you deserve it. I'm talking your age until count. Young folks tend me to do stupid things right often. You'll learn if you get any older.
Hugh Glass never caught up to John Fitzgerald. He just disappeared and was never seen again. Jim Bridger, however, went on to become one of the most famous mountain men, a man who was highly respected for his courage and keeping his word. Scene.